There's a concept that you frequently hear in business that applies to anyone's life, regardless of what they're going through, and it's things happen gradually and then suddenly. And this is a concept that applies to people who are facing challenges with the criminal justice system or who are in the criminal justice system. My name is Michael Santos. I'm the founder of Prison Professors. I served 26 years in prison, and I try to share lessons that I learned through that journey to help other people figure out what steps can they take today to get the best possible outcome. And the best possible outcome is to get the highest level of liberty at the soonest possible time. But to put yourself in a position to get the best possible outcome, you've really got to be thinking about what seeds can I sow today that will put me in a position for success in the months, years, and decades ahead. Now, everything that we offer at Prison Professors is free. I always make 3 promises. I'm never going to lie to you, I'm never going to ask you to do anything I didn't do, and I'm never going to ask anybody to pay me a penny. Everything is free because we believe that we really need to reform this system, so that more people can emerge with their dignity intact and with opportunities to prosper at the soonest possible time. But that has been a very, very heavy lift. It's been a heavy lift that I've been involved in since authorities first took me into custody in August of 1987. And it's been a very slow process, a slow, gradual process, but then suddenly we are going to start seeing reforms, in my view, that are going to benefit anybody who's going into the federal criminal justice system. And in the United States, we have 53 different criminal justice systems. Every state has its own criminal justice system. The District of Columbia has a criminal justice system. And the military has a criminal justice system. And the federal government has a criminal justice system. That's 53 different criminal justice systems. But the federal government leads the nation, of course. And what happens in the federal government is something that trickles to the other states. I've seen that happen many times during the multiple decades that I served, and it's one of the reasons that I've been so passionate for so many decades of working to reform the system so more people can earn freedom. Now, when I started bringing this concept to the world, it was really roundly rejected. People would say, why should we reward somebody for what they're supposed to be doing? And some people in the system might say, if a federal judge sentenced a person to 10 years, we want that person to serve 10 years. Not 9 years and 9 months, 10 years. They don't want good time, they didn't want to provide incentives. That's the way the system worked for many, many decades. And it's going to take a massive shift to change that thinking, or one leader. And the leadership that's in place right now in the United States government is bringing these changes. I mean, President Trump was the first person to pass the 2018, the First Step Act in 2018, which has influenced the lives of 10,000 people. I mean, I should say tens of thousands of people. And now while I'm at this conference, I'm at the Palazzo Hotel in Las Vegas. I've been here for the Bitcoin conference for the past week. A lot has been happening, and my sources are telling me that a lot is going to happen in the weeks to come, including the director will be naming a person who served time in prison as the new deputy director, which sets policies, which creates pathways for people to work towards higher levels of liberty at the soonest possible time. That has been a very heavy lift in the making. It's been something that we work to try and change, and I've been working to try and change since I was in prison. And I finished my prison sentence in August of 2013. So nothing's about me, it's about changing a systematic policy that perpetuates intergenerational cycles of failure and recidivism. We all should be working toward improving the outcomes of America's criminal justice system in ways that allow the most people to get out and live with their dignity intact and with opportunities to prosper. And I've got on my phone here a memorandum that a friend of mine sent to me regarding changes came in. And this memorandum was dated on, let me see if they've got a date on it. It's from the United States Department of Justice, Federal Bureau of Prisons, immediate press release on May 28th, 2025. And forgive me because I don't have my glasses on. It's 5:30 in the morning, 5:20 in the morning as I'm reading this, because I've been so busy at this conference for these last several days at Bitcoin 2025 that I haven't had time to look at the immediate news. But this is massive news. It's sudden news because it says the Federal Bureau of Prisons has announced new guidance from Director William Marshall III directing staff to expand the use of home confinement for eligible individuals under the First Step Act. This is a massive, massive shift in the Bureau of Prisons policy, because historically the system has erected roadblocks and given excuses and reasons why they can't let people out. We've been advocating that of course they can let people on home confinement. They may not have enough halfway house space, but people could be serving their time at home, going to work, paying taxes. And the Bureau of Prisons has a great, it still has a sense of control or authority over the individual, because if the person doesn't comply with the conditions of his release, he's going back to prison. And there's been a pathway, a historic pathway that shows the Bureau of Prisons can manage people in society even better than they can in custody. That happened during COVID. During COVID, the Bureau of Prisons released more than 10,000 people. I think it was like 16 or 17,000 people. And the recidivism rates were a fraction of what they were for people who served time in prison. I mean, I think it's something like 20 people recidivated and returned to prison for new criminal conduct that were released early under the COVID mandate. So that data is at least a talking point, showing that people can function outside. But the longer we expose people to corrections, the less likely those people are to function as law-abiding citizens. The problem is that many Americans are deluded into believing that prison is the only response when somebody breaks the law. It's because this big ecosystem has been built around this concept. But you know, the reality is putting people in prison is the process. It's not the result that we're trying to get. We've got to bring more CEO businessman's mindset to this whole concept of criminal justice. It's gone into this pathway of not focusing on the success that we want for society. Instead, it's focused on the process. And what have we gotten? A bloated bureaucracy with 40,000 people who have a vested interest not in making communities safer and building a pathway to success, but on perpetuating the bureaucracy. You know, I really believe that we need to change this entire system, and I'm super, super excited about this memorandum. In fact, there are a few points that you will find we have been advocating for decades. One, home confinement is a priority. That's a bullet point. You can read it yourself. I don't need to read to you. I don't have my glasses anyway, but we'll put it up on the screen. The bullet point number 2, use of conditional placement dates. So they're going to tell you, hey, these are the conditions. Meet these conditions, and you're going to be able to go home to your family sooner. Number 3, classification of statutory authority. What does this say? Staff must distinguish between FSA and SCA. So this is the First Step Act and Second Chance Act authority. These are different laws that passed. Second Chance Act passed under President George Bush. I think it was in 2008, maybe 2007. I benefited from that because I got a year of halfway house. But now there are going to be people that might have a 10-year sentence. They might serve 3 years in prison or 4 years in prison and the remainder on home confinement, or even less, because the result that we're after is not locking people in prison. It is definitely to advance the interests of justice, but it is not just to incarcerate people for longer than they need to serve time. The big ones here are individualized referral process. So decisions will be based on each person's needs, support system, and readiness for reintegration. It's the reason that prisonprofessors.org, a nonprofit, develops so many tools and resources with hopes of helping people build a pathway. You've got to make sure that people become aware of you, because if you don't have this documented, memorialized record of all the ways that you've worked to prepare yourself for success, it's harder to get that individualized support. But if you build that support systemically over time, you are going to find that people come into your life to have a vested interest in your success, just as I did. I didn't have these laws while I was in prison, and it's one of the reasons I feel so committed to changing the policies and changing the laws so millions of people can say, okay, I may be in prison, but I'm going to stop this intergenerational cycle of failure and poverty and start working toward financial independence, start working towards controlling my own life, my own mission. The sooner people start doing that, the better. And when I mean the sooner, if you're contemplating, God, there's a possibility I'm going to get a criminal charge, start memorializing your record today. We built a whole platform that's free for anyone to document their record before they go to prison, while they're in prison, and even when they come home. Because when you come home, there's still a process that people have to go through, and success through that process is really contingent on how much support a person builds. So I really would encourage you, if you are a believer in liberty, if you are a believer in justice, visit our nonprofit's website at prisonprofessors.org. I make 3 promises: never lie to you, never ask anyone to do anything that I didn't do while I was in prison and that I'm not still doing today. And 3, I will never charge anybody a penny for anything that we do at Prison Professors. We believe that anybody who's in the criminal justice system needs clear direction. They may or may not get that from their defense attorney, but they should get it from people who have walked through their shoes. There's an old Chinese proverb that I've quoted many times. It says, if you want to know the road ahead, ask somebody who's walking back. My name is Michael Santos. I am the founder of Prison Professors, asking you to be a part of the movement by subscribing to our social channels, whether it's on YouTube or Instagram or wherever we publish our work. Follow us, share us with your defense attorneys, but most importantly, use the free resources at prisonprofessors.org to work toward your highest potential. I'm Michael Santos, and I believe in you. Be cool.